3rd, 2026 City of Oshkosh Plan Commission meeting. I'm glad you could join us. I do see that we have a quorum. I do have a few housekeeping rules that we need to go over before we begin. Please turn off or silence all personal communication devices. The applicant and members of the public may address any item before the Plan Commission once the relevant item is called and public comment is open. Before speaking, I kindly ask you to write your name and address at the speaker registration form located at the podium right there. Unless an exception is made by the Plan Commission, the following rules will apply. The applicant will be given up to 10 minutes to present any information they wish for us to consider. Thereafter, members of the public will be given up to 5 minutes to address the specific item before the Plan Commission. Members of the public may speak once per called agenda item unless a Plan Commission member requires clarification or wishes to ask you a question. Questions or statements from the audience will not be considered. Only statements from the podium after you've written your name and address and within the allowed time constraints are only taken into consideration. After all community members have had an opportunity to speak on the called agenda item, the applicant may be asked if they have a final statement for the Plan Commission, and then the Commission may take action on that agenda item. The Common Council has adopted rules of decorum for city boards and commissions, including the adoption of a civility pledge. No person shall personally attack a board or commission member, city official or staff, or any other person. No person shall make irrelevant, unduly repetitive, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks, or act in such a manner as to disrupt or disturb the orderly conduct of the meeting. This would include hand clapping, stomping of feet, whistling, shouting, or other demonstrations. I do thank you all for your understanding. We're going to go on to the agenda now. Roll call, please.
Ms. Shireman? Here. Ms. Prop?
Here.
Mr. Pollack? Councilmember Bulow?
Here.
Mr. Rucker?
Here.
Ms. Davy?
Here.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Here.
Mr. Bowen?
Here.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Here.
Chairman Perry?
Here.
9 board members present.
Thank you. Now I see we have a consent agenda. We are on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a statement about any of the consent agenda items? Any member of the public wish to make a statement about any of the consent agenda items? Okay, is there any member of the Plan Commission that wishes to pull any item off of consent? Anybody in the Plan Commission want to pull an item off of consent agenda? All right, I'm seeing none, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to recommend approval of all items on the consent agenda and adopt the findings and recommendations for each item as stated in the staff reports.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion? All right, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
All right, now we're on to the regular agenda. So item number 3 is a review and make a recommendation on a landmark designation of 404 West New York Avenue. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission?
Everyone.
All right, I will accept the report and make it a part of our record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Chairman. All right, so we are looking at the review and to make a recommendation on the landmark designation of 404 West New York Avenue. Up on the screen, you can see a map showing the subject site, which is on the northwest corner of New York Avenue and Jackson Street. And here are some images of the home. All right, so we are here because the applicant, Richard Green, has submitted an application to designate his home as a landmark. The purpose of the landmark designation is to both recognize the historic value of a property and to provide an opportunity for the Landmarks Commission to work with the property owner by providing alternative approaches for alterations that both meet the owner's objectives as well as preserve the historic integrity of a landmark property. The local landmarking process involves a public hearing and review before both the Landmarks Commission, which did take place on February 11th, 2026. The commission did approve the requested landmark designation of the property, and the local landmarking process also requires review and recommendation by the Plan Commission and a final approval by the Common Council. Attached in the meeting packet, you should see the application that Mr. Green submitted to Landmarks. That provided a wealth of historic information and some reasoning behind the recommendation for why the property is eligible for such designation. So I'm not going to go too far into it. I figured if you guys have questions, Richard would probably be the best one to address those two. But with that, staff does recommend and concurs with the recommendation from Landmarks Commission that the property should be designated as a local landmark.
Thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, do you have any technical questions for the staff? Any technical questions for staff? Okay, I'm seeing none. I do allow public comment on every agenda item, so I'm going to open the public comment period and request a statement from the applicant if they so choose to. Is the applicant here and do they wish to make a statement? Approach the podium, write your name and address right there, write your name and address.
I wrote it down.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for considering my house as a local landmark. I just want to say that I'm extremely excited that this is happening. It's a long time coming. I'm very proud of my house. I moved in there in 1963 with my family. We were the third family to live in that house, and it's a very significant piece of architecture. I feel strongly about this because Oshkosh has extraordinary history, and our job is to preserve it and protect it. And so by landmarking this house, we're going to be able to preserve and protect this architectural treasure and cultural, historical treasure. The three families who live there are very significant to the building of Oshkosh. And I'm proud to live in the same house that they did. L. Frank Gates built it. He was the president of the Diamond Match Company, which was the largest employer in Oshkosh at the time. And that was in 1902 when he built that house with very significant architect and builder. After the Gates era was the Sullivan era. It was Frank Sullivan who worked at Oshkosh Truck and then started Triangle Manufacturing Company. So there's a legacy of manufacturing going on in this house. And then my father and mother, David and Mary Green, bought the house in 1963. My dad was very prominent at Oshkosh Truck as well. And he also worked at Triangle Manufacturing. And one of his great accomplishments, I'm real proud of my dad, is that he was the person who worked out the deal with Paul Pulverezny to keep EAA in Oshkosh. He was the airport commissioner at the time. So there are lots of reasons to landmark this house. It'll be the third property in the history of Oshkosh to be landmarked, number 3. And we intend to landmark a whole lot more historic properties so that they are protected and preserved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
We're going
Thank you.
to move on to the next. Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a statement on this agenda item? Any members of the public that would like to make a statement on this agenda item? All right, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. You don't have to make a closing statement if you so choose. And Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the agenda item and adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mr. Bulow.
I just wanted to say to call your application thorough would be an understatement. Fantastic application and a great use of this resource. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Ms. Prop.
I'm delighted that you're wanting to do this and set an example for other properties. Thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion on this motion? All right, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
Wonderful, thank you. Item number 4 is review and make recommendation on a general development plan and specific implementation plan for a multi-building demolition and parking addition at 777 Algoma Boulevard, University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. Have there been any site inspections?
Everyone again.
All right, I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Chairman. The subject area included in the request consists of one parcel totaling just over 16 acres. The site is zoned institutional district with a planned development overlay as well as a university transition overlay. The surrounding area consists of institutional uses and industrial uses to the west. The applicant is proposing to demolish 3 existing dormitory buildings along with the existing utilities, sidewalk, pavement, trees, and electrical and mechanical equipment located within the project site, as shown on the screen. The redevelopment area will then allow for construction of access sidewalks across the site with a new parking area located at the northwestern portion of the project site. The parcel area located outside of the proposed demolition project area will maintain its current use. The proposed parking lot will include 41 uncovered parking spaces and will support students, faculty, and visitors at the UW Oshkosh campus. This improvement will also allow for ADA compliant parking spaces. The proposed site will continue its use of the driveway access off of High Avenue. The institutional district requires a minimum front setback of 30 feet. However, the existing pavement is located approximately 15 feet from that property line. The applicant is requesting a base standard modification to allow a front setback of 15 feet for the new parking area. This is intended to allow sufficient parking on and around the site. Staff is supportive of that BSM request as there is existing pavement located in that same area and it abuts compatible institutional uses and provides additional parking that will support that overall campus. Landscaping, the code requires paved area and street frontage landscaping requirements to be met for the proposed site. With that being said, the applicant provided a landscape plan. Code requires a minimum of 50 landscaping points per 10 parking stalls or 10,000 square feet of paved area. Code further specifies 30% of those points be devoted to tall trees and 40% devoted to shrubs. The plan shows a combination of trees and shrubs around the parking lot that meet that code requirement, and also shows trees included in the parking row ends and within the row islands. Street frontage landscaping requirements are shown just for the proposed parking area. Code requires 100 landscaping points per 100 feet of right-of-way. Code also further specifies that 50% of those points be devoted to medium trees. The plan that was submitted shows jewel bush honeysuckle contributing to that requirement. However, code considers that a medium deciduous shrub, so that plan will need to be modified during the site plan review process. The total provided paved area and street frontage landscaping points exceeds the point requirements for both the paved and the street frontage landscaping. This will offset that BSM request for the reduced front setback. Site lighting, the applicant also submitted a photometric plan, and with that, the plan shows 15 and 20 feet tall light poles, which is within the maximum light fixture height for the institutional district. And the lighting levels also meet the minimum code lighting requirements for drive aisles and parking areas. With that, staff recommends approval of the general development plan and the specific implementation plan with the findings and conditions listed in the staff report.
Thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, do you have any technical questions for staff? Any technical questions for the staff? All right, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to open public comment period on this agenda item and request a statement from the applicant if they are here and so choose to do so. Is the applicant here and do they wish to make a statement?
I do not. I'll let the staff report the statement.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a statement on this agenda item? Any members of the public that wish to make a statement on this agenda item? All right, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. The applicant can make a closing statement if they like, but Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt to recommend approval of the agenda item and adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff reports.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Ms. Prop?
I'm wondering if the applicant could explain explain the fact that they don't need all that dormitory space and what the ultimate use of it. Is this going to be just green space or?
Does the commission wish for that to occur? Yes? Okay. You can state your name, please.
Chadwick Shaw, Director of Planning for University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. With declining enrollment, we no longer have the need for these old dormitories. We've consolidated students in other dorms. We are looking to reduce our overall square footage of buildings to reduce our energy load and building maintenance costs. So taking down these 3 buildings meets those goals. Along with that, future site redevelopment, if at some time we are able to get awarded a new STEM building or a new semi-suite residence hall, would be looked at for that site.
Okay, and then meanwhile, it's green space.
In the meantime, yes, it's going to be green space with the exception of the parking lot, and the Pollock House is currently in design for renovation, and there will be a parking area on the backside there that will be using that other driveway off from.
Okay, thank you. That explains a lot.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion? All right, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Schreierman? Aye. Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
All right, item number 5 is a public hearing. It's a review and make recommendation on a comprehensive land use plan map amendment from light density residential to medium and high density residential for properties located near the intersection of Witzel Avenue and Meriden Road. Have there been any site inspections? All right, those are so noted for our record. I will accept the staff report as part of our record. Please report your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The proposed project request involves 7 parcels, 5 parcels located at the northeast corner of Witzel Avenue and Meriden Road, 1 parcel located at the northwest corner of Witzel Avenue and Meriden, and 1 parcel located on the south side of Witzel Avenue. Up on the screen is the existing land use map. The subject sites contain 5 single-family residences, 1 vacant lot, and 1 duplex on the west side of Meriden Road. MB Moon LLC initiated this request after acquiring 3 parcels at the northwest corner for a proposed apartment development. These 3 right here facing on Witzel Avenue. The proposed project requires a rezoning from single-family residential 5 to multiple family residential 36, which is not consistent with the comprehensive plan's current light density residential designation. To allow the rezoning to proceed, the recommended land use map must be amended to medium and high density residential. And right there is the current comprehensive land use map. Following staff's initial review, the land use amendment area was expanded to include the remaining 4 properties, this one here, and these 2 north of DB Moon's site. Limiting the amendment to only the 3 acquired properties would create 3 isolated pockets of light density designation within an area otherwise characterized by higher density residential development. With the exception of the subject parcels, the immediate area is developed with multifamily residential at varying densities. Land use transitions to single-family residential to the west along Witzel, and to the east on the north side of Witzel, you see commercial uses, and on the south side, residential. MB Moon LLC, owning the 3 lots at the northeast corner, is proposing an apartment development. The project includes a 4-story multifamily building with 92 apartment units and 57 underground parking spaces. And the site will also include 92 on-site or at-grade parking spaces and a range of residential amenity areas. The proposed development is consistent with the character and development pattern of the surrounding area, particularly to the property immediately to the east, which contains a 72-unit apartment building with similar amenities. The requested comprehensive plan amendment and subsequent zoning change are appropriate, given how the surrounding area has developed over the past several decades. The city's recommendation to include the 4 remaining residential properties is not expected to negatively affect the existing single-family homes. If the land use amendment and subsequent zone change are approved, the single-family residential uses would remain a by right permitted use in the MR36 zone district. Not including these properties at this time would result in 3 small SR5 spot zones, which is generally considered a poor planning practice. The proposed apartment plans were discussed at a neighborhood meeting on February 19th of this year. Neighbors in attendance had questions related to the design of the proposed development, but did not voice any concerns related to the proposed comprehensive land use plan revision. So in closing, staff is recommending approval of the comprehensive land use map amendment from light density residential to medium and high density residential as requested.
Thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions for the staff? Councilmember Bulow.
Thank you. So Jeff, just to clarify, the single-family homes that would then be reclassified and grandfathered in, if you will, if they wanted to make a modification to their home, they'd still be able to do that as though it was single-family, correct?
Exactly. The MR36 allows single-family uses by right, so.
Okay. So they're not going to come into any perceived zoning issues moving forward in terms of like?
Correct. They would not be reclassified as legal nonconforming.
Thank you.
Mr. Rucker.
Was there any discussion in regards to having 3 separate plans, or why was it all lumped into one particular plan for us?
Efficiency. Can you go back to the map, please?
It's because you've got 3 different sites, and just questioning why it was all lumped into one instead of one development, 2 and 3, and 3 different items.
Well, the proposed project plan involves these 3 lots right here, and during staff review, we thought it would just be prudent to just expand the requested area to include the remaining outliers, just for efficiency's sake.
Thank you.
Ms. Prop.
I just want to make the point for people that this is the comprehensive land use plan map, and then you said zoning will come next, and then we'll have our usual look at general development. And
Correct. This is the first step of that process.
Right, and so this will be coming back to the commission.
Correct. The next will be the zone change and GDP SIP at the same time? Or CUP, I'm sorry, CUP, not a SIP.
Okay.
Any other technical questions for staff? Mr. Buell, Lowenstein.
I was just wondering about how this section was cut out from the medium residential. It seems like, was it all light residential and has slowly been changed over time? And these are just the kind of, obviously, single-family homes mostly, but they've been left as the multi-residential zoning expanded
Yeah.
around it?
This area was kind of a remaining pocket within the town of Algoma, and this section annexed into the city, or not annexed, but attached to the city in 2023. So pretty much came in as this package right here, and the city kind of grew around it with the multifamily developments.
Thanks.
Any other technical questions? Okay, I am seeing none. This is a public hearing, and so I will open the public hearing and request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here, and do they wish to speak? Don't choose to speak. Okay. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing. You can make a closing statement if you would like. Otherwise, Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to recommend approval of the agenda item and adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff reports.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? I do have one comment that I'd like to make, and even though I know what the answer is, I was hoping that this probably wouldn't be another market rate development, but I see that it is. I'm getting a little bit worried about the amount of these types of projects that are occurring in the city, but I understand that there is a need and site considerations play a role in it. Any other comments on the motion? All right, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
No.
Motion carried 8-1.
Thank you. Item number 6 is a public hearing. It's a review and make a recommendation on a zone change from 2-flat residential, 10, TR10, to central mixed use with a planned development overlay, CMU with a PD, for properties located at 14 and 20 West 10th Avenue. Have there been any site inspections?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll note those as part of our record. I will accept the staff report as part of our record, and please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. White Label Lofts LLC and Sawdust Development 915 LLC are requesting a zone change for properties located at 14 West 10th Avenue and 20th West 10th Avenue. They are currently zoned TR10, two-family residential district. They are proposing to zone change to Central Mixed Use District with a Planned Development Overlay, or CMU-PD. The purpose of the rezoning is to allow redevelopment of the site, principally to create a new 30-stall parking lot, which will support a proposed new multifamily development located at 913 and 923 South Main Street. The new lot will be accessed via the existing alley between West 9th and West 10th. The existing 2-flat at 14 West 10th would be demolished, while the 2-flat at 20 West 10th Avenue would remain. A pending base standard modification is required to allow that remaining residential use. Brian will be providing further context and details on the required BSMs during the next action item on the agenda during the site's general development review plan. The existing site conditions include 250 by 150 residential lots. Each currently contain a 2-flat structure, both zone TR10. The proposed CMU PD zoning aligns with both the 2040 comprehensive plan as well as the Center City land use recommendations. The parking lot provides a transition between the residential and commercial uses, and the additional development design control is achieved through the planned development overlay. A Plan Commission workshop was held January 20th on 2026, and a neighborhood meeting was held January 7th, 2026. Neighbors were generally supportive, although a concern was raised after the public meeting, or excuse me, after the neighborhood meeting, is my understanding, that of potential traffic impacts on West 9th and the alley due to the proposed new off-street parking. And again, I'm sure Brian's probably going to dig into that a little bit more with you. Staff findings: staff has determined the zone change request advances the purpose of the zoning ordinance, is compatible with the surrounding land uses, reflects changing conditions and development patterns in the city, and is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the zone change with the findings outlined in the staff report.
Thank you very much for your report. Plan Commissioner, is there any technical questions for the staff on this agenda item? Any technical questions for the staff? Okay, this is a public hearing, and so I'm going to open the public hearing and request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here, and do they wish to make a statement? Okay. So then, is there any other member of the public that wishes to make a statement on this agenda item? If you can approach the podium, make sure your name is written down for us, please.
Jim Galnick at 907 South Main.
That's just, we don't have to announce our address, we
Okay,
just have to
all right.
write it on the piece of paper.
Okay.
Yep, that's okay.
I own 7 adjoining properties to this development. I have no problems with the change of zoning or with parking. My only problem is the ingress and egress should be from 10th Street. We have a perfect example just to the north at MK Lofts. They have approximately the same number of parking spaces, and they have ingress and egress to 8th Street, which is a lot better than 9th Street due to all the congestion that's on 9th Street at rush hour with the stoplight. Also, the alley is going to be become a thoroughfare for, I would guess, 100 cars a day, and back doors of my businesses are 2 feet from that alley. I consider it a danger to anyone that's going in and out to have all this traffic. I'd recommend that we have an ingress and egress on 10th Street, and if we can't do that, I'd like to see the alley closed and have each party enter from their own side. This apartment development would be coming from the 9th Street side with some of their spaces, but they could gain 2 or 3 parking spaces in the alley if it was not a public alley and was theirs.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Please make sure your name and address are written on the form. Thank you.
Michael Breed. We've got a business, we have a business on the southwest corner of Main and 9th. The proposal of a one-way street from 9th to 10th is, I think, a logistical nightmare. Ditch the measurements. We know how busy, you can see in the summer, how busy 9th and Main is, how much busier it's going to be when the Main Street Bridge is done, and the mill on Main is going to be busy. It's a measurements. If you're heading east on 9th Street, there's 120 feet from the alley to Main Street. There's a no parking sign on that side. There's only 90 feet from that no parking sign to Main Street. You've got people coming east on 9th Street with that little area to try to get in the right straight or right turn lane. To me, it's kind of a logistical nightmare. We're asking for accidents. Anybody coming from Main Street heading south and taking a right or toward west on 9th Street and they want to duck into that alleyway, there's only 120 feet between that right-hand turn and that left-hand turn. Another logistical nightmare in my opinion. The same happens if you're coming from South Main, traveling north on Main, you're taking left on 9th Street and you want to turn that alley. The alley, you've only got 120 feet. Now, we've been in our previous locations right up the road with traffic on 9th and Main. We're asking for problems. I'm not concerned about the congestion. We're asking, there's going to be some accidents, rear end accidents. Again, if you'd inspected the site, there isn't a lot of room there to put another entrance say, a one-way street or one-way alley from 9th Street to 10th Street, there just isn't a lot of room. There's going to be accidents. We're asking for trouble. Not to mention that the traffic that we have at Grace Lutheran on Nebraska and 10th, it's a heavily populated area, there's a lot of traffic, and we've been at our location for 16 years, I see it. I don't think anything good could happen maybe by using that alley as it's proposed to be. That's just, again, what I've seen in the years we've been at that around that location. That's just my opinion. I think we're asking for, and seeing that the original plans for these apartments over there, the access was specified on 10th, not on 9th. Again, I just see problems with this. Again, if you've inspected the site, you want to go back and inspect the site, traveling from east to west on 9th Street, and with all the traffic there, very little space for people to make those lane changes and turns. And again, if you make that an entrance, there's not a lot of room. I think we're asking for trouble. And I don't think it serves any purpose to start accessing those apartments that are basically being a 10th Avenue.
Thank you.
I would like to note that this is just the rezone at this time. The next item will be the site design with the GDP.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak? If you haven't written your name and address on the sheet, please do so. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Schultz. Considering that this is a parking issue, I own the business across the street on South Main Street, Oshkosh Heating and Air. And we've been approached, and I was at the other meetings as well, and I didn't hear that my concerns were brought up. We've been approached by the city and the DOT that long-term, the bigger picture, the city has desire to widen Main Street. And the DOT came into my building and said they can do everything that they can do as the street is now. They don't need to widen it. So the city obviously has bigger pictures of widening it because they're going to find a need for it. And this just enhances that need to widen that South Main Street, knowing that South Main Street eventually has to continue to narrow before it gets to the bridge, so they can't completely widen it all the way. My understanding is they want to make it a little bit like the herd, to go all the way through to as far as they can. My concern is like right now, directly across the street from me is 915 Main Street, that they intend to tear down, completely rebuild, and that's going to be this project. This is an opportunity, if they're going to widen Main Street, to take that side of the street as opposed to my side of the street. And so my concern is that you have the opportunity to look at the big picture rather than, hey, we're not going to tell anybody about this widening of Main Street right now. Let's let this go through, let them build it, and now they can't take it because they just built it. But they can, if they're going to widen South Main Street, they have the opportunity to ask this business to perhaps take a few more parking spots right in front of their building, as opposed to taking the parking spots from my side of the street. Does that kind of make sense? If there's a bigger picture to this, this is the time when it's on paper for them to maybe redesign their building. They might have to reduce the number of apartments, make the apartments fewer. You can gain a couple parking spots, probably at least 3 or 4. I don't know how the regulations would go with that. But I just want to make sure that you all understand and the community understands that this is the time to consider when you're going to take somebody's front building. The long-term project, my understanding, is that they actually want to take my front of my building, so I actually have to remove my front office, even though I have, I don't know, 20 feet from my building to the road. They want to take additional 5 feet or something to that effect, when they have the opportunity to do that on the other side of the street. Does that make sense? I don't know, but if I didn't have anything to draw, but that's my concern. I don't have a problem with the apartments going up there, but it is a parking issue, and you're trying to create parking for this building. There is an opportunity to take the parking from the front of the building now, instead of taking it from my side of the building. Because later on, you're going to say, oh, we have parking problems, we need to widen Main Street so that there's more parking. And so, right now is the time to look at that drawing and that consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Please make sure your name and address are on the sign-in form. Thank you.
Russ Stadler. I'm not a business owner in that area and thing, but I've lived there for 16 years, and this is like my backyard, the alleyway and stuff. I just think it's going to be a terrible problem having everybody coming down 9th Street and parking all the way to 10th Street, you know, because that's where the parking lot's going to be, and just funneling them all down this alleyway and stuff and everything, where it would be more reasonable to come in on 10th Street and it's like right there. I mean, they can just pull right into their own parking lot instead of all funneling down off of 9th Street and stuff and everything. I mean, I got a dog, I got grandkids that come over that play and stuff and everything, and it's kind of like right there on the alley. You got people just flying down that alley and God knows what, you know, can happen and stuff and everything. So I kind of oppose having that, you know, a one-way going down there, and instead of coming down 9th Street, they can just come right off of 10th, you know, 2 parcels down, boom, there's the parking lot and stuff and everything. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak?
My name is Vicki Gomleg. My background is health and safety and in industry. This congestion that you will be creating with this amount of cars going down this alley, I see nothing more than someone getting seriously hurt when they enter and exit that building. There's a very short distance of when you leave the door of our building and you're right in the driveway, the street, the alley. So with the proposed increased traffic that'll be going down that alley, someone is going to not only get hurt, but they probably will be killed. People use that alley as a speedway. So I don't see anything good about increasing the traffic flow in that alley. And if it can be circulated or redirected to come in and out on the 10th Street, I would really like for you guys to take a look at that seriously. And the other thing is that when I'm traveling down Main Street and I turn on to 9th Street, heading south, and 2 cars can block that whole turning avenue, and that will just increase to become worse with more traffic flow expected to go down that alley. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item?
Name's on Calvin Jersley. Also have a part of a business on South Main, 923. We're moving to 901. I think that everyone has done a good enough job expressing the concerns there at the intersection. Make it quick, as a member of Grace Lutheran Church and a parent of Grace Lutheran School, I do want to reiterate the importance of an ingress and egress there on both 9th and 10th, due to the fact that if we are only allowing traffic to leave on 10th, those individuals a lot of times are just going to be trying to reroute back to 9th. I believe that's Minnesota and then Oregon. I know that because I do that after work, okay? It's hard to turn on to 9th and then get back, hard to turn on to South Main heading north and then get on to 9th. There's often a lot of traffic at that time of day, and I just want to reemphasize that we do have a healthy church population there as well as a growing school. You have very, very congested times during school drop-off and pickup, not to mention extracurricular activities, and we are just going to be sending more traffic there. And the intersection of 10th and Oregon, for what it's worth, is a tricky one already. So to have more traffic flowing in out of 10th, I don't see any pros there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public wish to speak? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Would the applicant like to make a closing statement? Okay. So Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to recommend approval of the agenda item and adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mr. Rucker?
Good, thank you. Would you just repeat again exactly what we're voting on here in regards to the zoning versus some of the egress that we've heard again, please?
This is just the zoning of the two properties to CMU PD. The site design is the next item, the general development plan.
Any other discussion on this motion? I'm going to have a little bit of discussion and where I'm very strong into looking at exactly what it is that we're voting on. And while I am very concerned about the issues that have been brought before us tonight, the item that we're voting on is the recommendation for a zone change and not about the alleyway. I would hope in the future development or in future items brought before us, in which there will be several, that we have somebody from the other city departments to address the ownership of said alley, responsibility of said alley. I mean, we don't have the GIS of whether or not each individual business goes out into the alley or if it's a city thing. I'm hoping that for the future items brought before us, we have some of those questions answered. But right now, I have to look at this as it's a recommendation of a zone change. Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Aye.
Ms. Davy? Aye. Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7 is a review and make a recommendation on general development plan for 2 flat residential use and off-street parking lot at 14 and 20 West 10th Avenue. Have there been any site inspections? Okay, those are so noted for the record, and I will accept the staff report as part of the record. So please present your summary.
Thank you. So this is the same subject site as the previous item. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing 2-flat building on the eastern lot, while the 2-flat residential building on the western lot will remain. The applicant plans to construct an off-site parking lot on both subject properties with a total of 30 parking stalls, and this is to support the previously approved multifamily development located east of the site along Main Street. The proposed site will have 2 accesses from the alley, and the alley again running from 9th Avenue to 10th Avenue. So the proposed rezone to CMU PD district will allow for the off-site parking lot as a conditional use. A BSM will be needed to allow the 2-flat building to remain, as single and 2-family uses are not permitted in the CMU district. Staff does not have concerns with the proposed off-site parking lot, as it meets setback requirements and dimensional standards for parking lots. CSM will be needed to approve or be approved to combine the 2 lots into one, or a cross-access agreement will need to be filed with the Winnebago County Register of Deeds to allow the parking lot to be constructed over the property line. The city's transportation committee has reviewed the plan and recommended converting the alley to one-way north to south access from 9th Avenue exiting onto 10th Avenue, and this would be brought to a future common council meeting for review. Staff is supportive of a BSM to allow the 2-flat residential structure to remain as it is compatible with neighboring single and 2-family residences on the block. The landscaping plan will be addressed as part of a future SIP, as this is only the GDP. Same with the lighting. The lighting plan will also be addressed during the SIP process. So staff recommends approval of the GDP with the findings and conditions in your staff report.
Thank you very much. Plan Commission, do you have any technical questions to staff? Mr. Bowen.
And I don't pay enough attention to the Transportation Committee meetings, clearly. Was their recommendation to change this to one-way traffic, was it recommended, is it not wide enough? Is it, I guess, what was the thought process for that recommendation?
Without being at the meeting, and it was related specifically to this development and having two axes off the alley, they wanted to have it one-way access, but that's those are all the details I have on it.
Gotcha.
Ms. Prop?
Yeah. I'm thoroughly confused. A lot of good comments were made, and should the alley be north going or south going? I don't know. I mean, I would have to go look at it again, but I know it will come back for a specific plan, but I don't know if I can approve this general plan without having more clarity on what the issues are.
Any other questions, technical questions for the staff? Ms. Davy?
Can you kind of delineate the process for me? Is this possible to hold over and get more information without harming the plan, the flow of the plan? And what do we vote on after this? How many more kicks at the can do we get?
So it still needs to come back for the SIP approval. Also, the CUP will likely need to be renewed for the apartments. So it does come back for those items. The next step would be council approving or reviewing the GDP, as well as reviewing the change to the one-way for the alley. As far as the timing, this would push the GDP back.
I too am uncomfortable with voting on the GDP at this point because I think we need more information. It is just kind of a conundrum where it's located, and it's nobody's fault, but if the Transportation Committee thinks that this is a problem, well, then we should consider that, I think. And I'd like to know more about that.
And they did approve it, the
As a
Transportation Committee?
one-way.
As a one-way, yes.
But the question then arises, is one way the best way to do that? Because should there be an outlet on 9th or not? So that's where my personal conundrum's coming in. I know that particular corner is tight at any time. I kind of wonder how semis get through there, you know? And I don't wish to throw any monkey wrenches into the project because I like the project very much. But I don't know that we'd be doing our due diligence if we were just to pass this and say, okay, we'll take care of the rest of it later, because that ship will have sailed with the council's approval of the one-way plan, right?
Mr. Rucker?
Good, thank you. The alleyway, and I agree, I'd like to take a little bit better look at this. I mean, could this just not be a cars allowed at all? Make this a walkway or some sort of a, parking for the businesses to be in the lot, and then this is just a walkway for people to access those businesses? I know that's not part of what we're talking about this evening, and I appreciate that, but I do agree that I think there's got to be some better solutions. Thank you.
That'd be a larger discussion on vacating that right away.
Yeah. As we look to redevelop that whole area and walkways and people enjoying those areas, I would agree that if, as described here tonight, I'm not in support.
I'll also ask a question is, and you probably don't have the answer, but did the Transportation Committee consider any other options, like putting a barrier halfway down so that there was no throughway but still alley access, or the potential use of speed bumps? I'm very concerned about speed, as, I mean, my office window is on a large parking lot, and today somebody flew by at 30 to 35 miles an hour, and there are spots where you're never going to see someone come out that quickly, and so I do understand the concern about somebody flying down an alleyway, because there are people who don't respect anything other than that, but I would kind of hope that we'd look at speed bumps or the barrier thing so that you can only go so far to make your delivery or whatever, and then, or, you're parking and go out the way you came in, or that type of thing. So I'm a little concerned about this as well. Any other technical questions? All right, so this is not a public hearing, but I will open it to public comment. Request a statement from the applicant. Does the applicant choose to make a comment?
Todd Hutchison with Wisconsin Redevelopment. So we have had we've been dealing with this for quite a long time. And initial conversations that we had with the city was actually about vacating the alley. And I'd have to go back and look at the original meeting minutes and why that was discouraged, or why we were told we couldn't do that. But that was actually our original preference, and to have access in and out off of 10th Street. But for whatever reason, that got changed as it was looked at through engineering and whatnot. So I think we're definitely open to that. We're definitely open to making modifications to the parking as necessary to accommodate. I understand the neighbors' concerns, and they make sense to me. So we're open to making those changes. My bigger concern, though, is that because of this project is a low-income housing tax credit project, we get our funding through WIDA. There are certain deadlines that you have to meet with WIDA, and one of those deadlines is that we have to be under construction by the end of July of this year. So I know that we still have to go through SIP and the CUP again, it sounds like. So and these are questions that I just honestly don't know. Will we still have time to make these modifications and stay on schedule?
I didn't realize everyone was looking at me that fast. I was only able to gather a little bit of extra detail in case it helps anybody at all. So regarding the one-way alley, some of the information with the Transportation Committee and how it was presented to them was revolved around how narrow the alley is, only being 15 feet. So it's not ideal or super feasible to have two-way traffic on there. So with the increased traffic of this project, that was sort of the impetus of why they started looking at how the alley is being used with additional volume in it and the width. It was recommended as the one-way. That's what I have so far that I found. That helps.
Thank you.
I guess just one other question. I know that part of this GDP is to allow the two-flat to remain on the site with the commercial. Can that portion of it be approved, and then the whole parking egress, ingress, one-way, two-way, can that be held or just be a part of the SIP that we have to come back for anyway, with the lighting and the landscaping and all those other details?
You could resubmit the GDP and SIP concurrently and do it all under one approval. But generally, the GDP is going to be tied to the site design. So I don't know that we'd be able to just approve the use without approving the site design.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this agenda item? Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this agenda item? Approach the podium, please. And just state your first name again so our note taker gets it.
My only thought on this is, this gentleman and I are the only owners of property on this alley. We own everything there. So if we can come to an agreement, which to me would be to close it off, and if we can agree on it, I don't know why anyone else would have an issue with it.
Okay, thank you. We can't discuss that part of it, but, I mean, there could be fire consideration, all that other kind of stuff, so we don't know until we know.
Right, okay.
Yep. Any other member of the public that wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. The applicant can make a closing statement if they choose. If not, the Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to recommend approval of the agenda item and adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff reports.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Bowen?
So sort of procedurally, my thought was, and I'm glad you stayed up there, Brian, because this is a question for you. It sounds like one of the things that I think we're struggling here is the traffic in the alley. And one of the reasons that I think we're struggling with the traffic in the alley is because of the recommendation that it's changed to one way. Is there any rationale in the interest of keeping the project moving, keeping sort of our timelines on track here? Again, I think we've all gone on record as supporting this project. We want to make sure this project is a success. It's great for the area, et cetera. It sounds like there are reasonable people in the room who might be able to sort this out. If we move this forward to council, minus the first condition that traffic in the alley shall be changed to one-way traffic only, so we amended this to send it to council without it, but with the note that it's something that needs to be addressed, does that satisfy the GDP requirement of us saying we generally support the idea of parking and two-flat residential in this portion of the project? Again, we got to remember, we've already approved every part of this project. We have approved the GDP, the SIP, everything else. This is for a small portion of a previously approved, or a small alteration to a previously approved project. So can we generally approve that part of it, subtract that one-way recommendation to go to council with the understanding that it needs to be looked at by council and maybe understood a little bit more, or potentially dealt with as part of their SIP submittal when we get to that point? That maybe gives them more time to discuss, gives us the ability to approve what we need to, keeps the project moving. I don't know. It's a Brian question.
Yeah, and I think, again, with the site design is tied into the GDP, so with this being the plan on the table, I don't know that we can just approve the land use and parking number of stalls without approving the kind of the access being part of the review. But like I mentioned, that one way you could do it is the GDP comes back with the SIP and it's one kind of review meeting.
So would that be essentially us, and that does make sense because it is a two-part process, so they're coming back regardless. Do they come back with a GDP SIP review at that point that we can approve and kind of pile them both into one? So that would be, I guess, would we then today table this to allow them to come back, or would the table require it to come back? I don't know. Would that require it to come back in 2 weeks?
I mean, you can.
Or do we vote no? Like, I don't want to vote no, but procedurally, I feel like we're a little bit in a box on how to best allow them to address this issue that, and they're valid concerns. Like, how do we allow them to address it, but still do what we all need to do?
As far as you can put a time limit on a motion in order to say being back in 2 weeks. Will tell you that personally I'm concerned about 2 weeks in terms of will there be enough members here? And then that would further delay 2 more weeks.
Are you going on spring break? Is that what you're telling us?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't think we have a meeting in 2 weeks, are we?
We do.
We do, okay.
I think we do. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll discuss that in a little bit, but, so I'm concerned about that part too. I do think that there are some things that we can do. Like, I will tell you, there are people that will go miles out of the way to avoid a speed bump. For some reason, it's just like car anti-repellent. So that might help just in that regard, but those things haven't been explored, and I do agree that they need to be explored a little bit more. What is the purpose of the alleyway? Is it fire? Is it safety? Is it that kind of stuff? If it's not really that way, remember, I got that funny road going into my subdivision that originally was fire, but we don't do that anymore. You know, so what was the original purpose? What's the root cause of this? And so we have to get to that point, because there might be some simple things that could be done to discourage people from going up and down that road in any direction. And maybe those are some really simple solutions, but I'm also very concerned about delaying this project, because we have seen this project for many, many years, and it needs to get off the ground. It just absolutely needs to. So, Ms. Prop?
Yeah, Ed might have the solution, but I know there might be a lot of things between the general plan and the specific plan that would take too much time for the applicant to put it together.
The two remaining items for the SIP are really just landscaping and lighting.
Okay, well, maybe that isn't so difficult, but you've heard us. I think we want to move the project, but we can't do it the way it is. So somebody on staff help us out. Help the applicant out.
You could table it, or you could recommend
Well,
denial.
give us a rational thing to do.
Well, I have an idea on that.
I only come up with irrational solutions.
So let's
you need
let
somebody
some of
rational.
this discussion play out. Councilmember Bulow?
And I have a position of privilege because I do get to look at it again when it comes to full council. And so what I was asking, I kind of like Ed's idea, is because in general you approve of this, you're just a little concerned about one of the aspects. I believe that they could approve it with a special request to review that traffic at council, that traffic recommendation. And then that's something that we could look at a little bit deeper during that meeting, if that's something that the plan commission would even feel comfortable with, but it gives you an ability to vote yes if you choose to, and then also know that your concern about that specific item can be passed through to the agenda for the council.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Yeah, I would just kind of echo, I think, Mr. Bowen's comment. I think it's totally within our regard to send most of a recommendation forward and just remove number one and leave it. We've done that before and say we can't decide, that's a political issue for the council. So we have passed things through without a sort of a really solid recommendation. And so either tempering one, but I think most easily just removing it, and then the council still has to struggle with that issue. They just don't have us making a recommendation, because remember, we're just recommending a course of action to the council. Or if you wanted to workshop it, you could just say, ask the council specifically to review this before it moves on as part of the recommendation. So I think that's the most likely and the easiest solution, is just remove one and let the council deal with it.
Staff?
So in case we end up postponing it, we'd want to postpone to a different date, not table it, because that just requires more steps coming down, in case you go that route. So that is one. You can amend it and take that condition out. I think what Brian was trying to get at, it would make the whole process messier, and you could get the same result through your council and have more information come forward, have more information from the transportation director at council, and provide more information before your vote. I think that item from the transportation committee also goes to council for that one way. So this will be seen again, and more information can be shared. But what we know right now is, overall, looking at it from just a bird's eye view, the walkability isn't an option because of how much parking, ingress and egress there is within the alley. Plus, there could be utilities, so vacating it is not a easy solution, even though it would be fun and make it more pedestrian friendly. It's not, there's challenges to it, so I don't want to get too deep. That's not my area of expertise. And that some of the reason was what I mentioned before, is too narrow for two-way traffic, which is a safety concern on the other side if it's kept this way. It's only 15 feet wide, and this project will definitely bring in more volume, so they're trying to streamline it. So you do have a few options. It's just, they all come with, depending on your comfort level, it's also your recommendation, and it will be seen again by council.
Mr. Rucker.
Oh, good, thank you. And I also wanted to notate the owner of Oshkosh Heating and Cooling, that, your concerns on the Main Street future development, I think that's something that we need to be considering as well, too. So, and that did not fall on deaf ears. To think long-term and for an established business to have those concerns, I just didn't want to have that fall on deaf ears as well.
Okay, is there any other discussion on the motion? Katrina, we're on the motion, right, Katrina?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion, Mr. Bowen?
I'm gonna come full circle, I guess, and I understand the rationale for not amending it per se. I'm also wary of tabling or postponing. I do think that this is an item, again, it sounds like there are reasonable people willing to have a conversation. It sounds like council can be well aware of what our concerns are, of what their concerns are. I personally, and this is just me, I personally would be comfortable sending this forward to council with the understanding that condition 1 does specifically say, as reviewed by the one-way, as reviewed by council. I think it's going to show in the minutes that we have concerns over that. I think certainly Carl is going to be able to take that back when it gets reviewed. So I guess my thought, again, sort of coming full circle, is probably just moving the recommendation forward as it sits, and hopefully we can keep the project on track, recognize that there are very real concerns here, but that council understands that it's something that they're going to need to do a little bit of fact-finding before they make their final decision on it. But that's just my personal feel.
Ms. Prop?
Yeah, I can go with that. Of course, we like to have our fingers in the details, but council can certainly do this, and they will know, Carl will tell them, if nothing else, that they need to make a decision on the traffic. So I'm happy then with the motion as made, originally made.
Just so everybody here is aware, I've already sent a request to have a staff memo before the council would even see this with updates on these.
Okay.
Mr. Lowenstein?
I would also just make a request of staff is when you have a recommendation that relies on the decision of a different committee, you might include it in the report so that we could see the language that the traffic committee used, and so we would have more of that justification in front of us. Because partially what we're struggling with is another committee that we really generally should trust made a decision, but we'd like to kind of have some of the details of that decision in the packet. And our recommendation is essentially affirming a decision that a different committee make, and it might just be a good idea if that were to happen again and say, here's the report, and we're asking you to sort of affirm the report of the traffic committee or whatever other committee might have looked at it before us.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Councilmember Bulow?
Aye.
Mr. Rucker?
Nay.
Ms. Davy?
No.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 6-2.
Okay, now on to other business. I believe there is a little other business today, planning?
Yep, so the next meeting is on March 17th. Sounds like we may already have 2 plan commissioners who can't make it, so I want to see if anybody else thinks they won't be able to make it at this point.
I would say no.
All right, thank you.
All
We're
right.
green.
Any other business? Okay, last item on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Aye.
All right, we can have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you. We have no workshops tonight.